Hello, everyone. It's your girl, Tiffany Nicole. Today, this is a different episode. Today, this episode that's going to move your heart, it's going to shift your perspective. We often talk about the mothers and the inmate, but what about the children? Today, I have a special guest on today, Sherell Hogan. Yes, the founder, the CEO of Pure Hearts. She knows what it's like to have parents that are incarcerated. She's going to walk us through her journey and she's going to let you guys know that in the midst of her having children incarcerated, she shifted her whole perspective on the whole outlook. Welcome, you guys. Hey, hey, hey. Welcome, Sherell. How do you feel today?
I feel wonderful. How are you, Tiffany?
I am great. I'm just adjusting some things on my end.
Okay.
Welcome. First of all, I am so honored to have you on here. I had stalked your Instagram page, girl. Not that I'm a stalker. I ain't a stalker.
You're good. You're good.
But your story has inspired me, and I feel like I am walking right in your footsteps of doing something in the midst of when we have our pain, our struggle, we go into depression. But I know you believer. I know you know Jesus, Abraham, Isaac, and Jesus' mama. So you was just like, I'm not gonna let this put me in depression. And I love
Yes,
that for you. I love that. And I just love your story. And I had to bring you to my platform with all of my mothers. I got children that are incarcerated. And
absolutely.
you can help these mothers that are struggling to have grandchildren
Yeah.
and help with resources. And I'm honored to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. And it's an honor to be here.
Yes, yes. So we're gonna dig right into it
Okay.
because I have people that have sent me messages. It's like, oh my God, Tiffany, who is this lady? What's happening? Where'd you find her? Everybody always asks, like, where do you find these people? I'm like, I do some stalking on Instagram. That's what I do, and I read their story. So just a little bit. I know you are you born and raised in Detroit, Michigan.
Yes.
Born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. I
Mhm.
love that. I'm originally from Chicago. So
Okay.
just give me a little bit, you tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Yeah. So, again, Tiffany, thank you for having me. It's a complete honor to be here. My name is Sherell Hogan. I was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, like Tiffany said. You want me to kind of go into who I am or the
Who you
work
yes,
that I do, or
yes.
just my personal story right now?
Yeah, personal
Right.
story, and then we'll go into who you are, girl, what
Okay.
God has done.
Well, yeah. So, jumping right into my story, when I was 6, my mom went to prison, and when I was 7, my father went to prison. And I still remember being in both courtrooms watching them, be sentenced to federal prison. And it was about 40 to 50 people in there, and no one was in that courtroom specifically to advocate for me.
Mhm.
And immediately after I watched my mom be handcuffed, I left with someone who was told, that told my mom that they would look after me, that they would take care of me, they have my best interests, but they didn't, right? Throughout my mom's and my parents' incarceration, I was abused, I was neglected. I was told a lot of things about myself that wasn't so positive. I was told, you ain't gonna be nothing. Can I cuss around here? Like,
Ye yes,
okay, you
yes,
ain't gonna be shit, right? You ain't.
yes.
Um, you could be pregnant before high school. You're not gonna accomplish anything. Your parents don't love you. I remember being told your mom hates you so much that she went to prison instead
Wow.
of
Was that
being
from a wait,
being
was that
with
from a
you.
loved one?
That
Like
was
a
from a loved
relative?
one. It was from a relative. Yeah, I could remember being driven to school with my mom picture in my lap as a young girl. I had to be in middle school at this time. Um, and I was tormented. Like, why do you have her picture? It's not like she cares about you. And I'm a young girl, so it that devastated me because I was convinced that, okay, maybe I'm not loved by my parents. Maybe my mom doesn't love me. Um, but yeah, so I could just remember being a small girl in grade school, and I used to lie about where my mom was because I was ashamed, and I was so afraid to be bullied or what people would think about
Mhm.
me because I'm in this private school. So when they used to say, "Well, where's your mom?" I said, "Oh, she's on vacation for work," and I couldn't go with her because having a parent in prison isn't something that you really just talk about openly,
No.
right?
Right.
So I felt very, very lonely in that, but also silenced in it too, because being in school, you don't talk about that, right?
Right.
So,
That's true.
my father was released when I was 10 years old, and 2 months later, he passed away. So that was devastating for me.
Wait, were you able to build a relationship with those 2 months before your father passed?
I think I did see my father. So as soon as he came home, I was 10 years old when he passed. So I did
Okay.
see him.
Okay.
We did spend time together. Actually, when he passed away, he was heading to pick me up.
Okay.
And a police was chasing a vehicle, and the vehicle that they were chasing unfortunately ran into my father and killed him right off impact instantly. And
Mm,
I could just remember just being devastated because you see your parents as your protectors and
right.
the people that's supposed to be there for you, and now he's gone. So now I have to navigate life without my father. And it's a different feeling, and it's a different type of grief from knowing your parent is in prison versus your parent being, deceased.
Right.
Right. And
Yeah.
as an adult woman, I can honestly say it was harder grieving my mother being in prison and alive. It was easier grieving, I mean, harder grieving that. And it was easier grieving that my father was deceased because I knew he wasn't coming
Mm,
back.
right.
So to shorten the story, after I lost my father, I became a very insecure, troubled young lady, and I felt like I wasn't wanted. I began to search for love in all the wrong places, filling voids. I was raised as an only child, so I had a lot of unnecessary friendships, one sided friendships, toxic relationships, right? Just because I was still so broken.
Right.
And I got a mentor at 14 years old, and she looked at me and said, "Little girl, if you believe in yourself, you can change the world. You can change so many people's lives." And from a girl from the east side of Detroit, I looked at her like she was crazy because who life getting better? These are the
Right.
cards I was dealt,
Yes.
and I'm
Yes.
just, I got to figure this out. Go find another princess that you want to empower because I'm not her.
Right.
Right.
And plus you said the east side of Detroit. And if anybody know about Detroit,
You know, you know
right.
about these eyes. If you know about
I
Detroit.
know about the east side. So I was like, ooh, we child.
But this woman never gave up on me, right?
Mm.
And almost 20 years later, she's still in my life. And one day I
Ooh.
began to believe all of the great things that she saw, and I began to see it within myself. And quick story, and then I'll shift. But when I was 14 years old, my maybe first week of high school, I had a nervous breakdown. Life had did so much to me where I walked in the hallway and woke up in a hospital. And the psychiatrist said something to me so harsh, but I guess I needed to hear it. He said, "Little girl, if you don't fight for yourself, you will die."
Mm.
And I was like, wow. And in that moment, I understood that if I literally did not fight for myself, I would, whether it was dying in my dreams, dying from not having any hope. If I didn't change or shift my mind in that moment, I know I wouldn't be sitting at my table talking to you, right?
Right, right.
Um, so I went back to my mentor, Doria Barnes, shout out to her. And I said, "Well, what do I need to do?" And she said, "Well, first of all, you need to bring your grades up." So, I went back to school. I never left school, but I began to appreciate school and value school and started taking my education more seriously.
Mhm.
Um, I graduated high school, went to college, graduated, found myself in corporate America, was very still broken. So, financially, I was sound. I had acquired assets, but I wasn't happy within. And I genuinely knew that all that I had experienced as a child, for God to place me here, I just didn't feel any purpose in it. So I began to pray and ask God, what is my purpose? And if anyone is familiar, I used to work for the big three. So I worked for Chrysler. And
Oh
I'm just
yeah.
like, God, I didn't go through all that to end up, one, telling people how to build a car. I don't even get an oil change on time. This can't be my story. What do you want me to do, Lord? And he said, quit your job. I said,
Girl, what
okay.
year was this?
This was 10 years ago in May of
Okay,
this year,
okay.
right?
Okay, so,
So,
okay, May.
so I
Okay.
said, "Lord, you sure is that you?" Let me let me make sure I hear you, And he said to me, if I carried you through that, what makes you think I won't carry you now? And
Mm.
I quit my job, no notice. I gave them my resignation, and I will be celebrating 10 years of entrepreneurship and my foundation existing for 10 years. And I never looked back. I
Wow,
was
so you
on a
birthed this
mission.
out. You
Hmm.
birthed Pure Hearts.
Hmm.
Wow, but where did Pure Hearts come from? Like, what made you think about children having, a safe haven?
Yeah. So I did an internship in DC, and I worked for an organization called the Children's Defense Fund. And
Okay.
they had a summer camp called Freedom School, and it was a literacy program. And it's interesting because I was one of the scholars in the program, and that's how I met Doria, my mentor that I spoke about. So I
Mhm.
went and worked for the summer at Freedom School, and it changed the trajectory of my life. I used to want to be a professional writer. I knew I wanted to work with children, but I didn't know in the capacity. And when I got back to Michigan from Washington, from spending that summer with those young people, I knew I had a responsibility to make sure that youth within my community felt safe, they felt seen, and they didn't feel alone. I didn't necessarily know that I wanted to work with children of incarcerated parents just yet, but I
Okay.
knew I wanted to change children's lives in some capacity.
Mm.
Hmm.
Okay. Wow, that 10 years? And
Hmm.
what are the odds of I'm interviewing you in the month that
Literally,
you this is
this upcoming week is our 10th year. Yes.
that is crazy, and you birthed
Hmm.
out Pure Hearts, and Pure Hearts is
Hmm.
for children that have parents that are incarcerated,
Yes.
and it's only in the state of Michigan that that program is offered.
Yes. Hmm. Well,
Okay.
for Pure Heart. Now,
For Pure
other
Pure Heart.
organizations does exist throughout
Mhm.
the country that supports this population. Is very few, but we're the only organization in Michigan to provide a holistic wraparound service model
Right.
specifically for this population.
Oh my god, I love this.
Hmm.
So tell the people about Pure Hearts. Now we know about
Yes.
your background,
Hmm.
east side of Detroit. Now we know,
Inside.
and you quit your job, you heard God speak,
Hmm.
and we're in the month of your 10-year anniversary for Pure
Hmm.
Hearts of you being an entrepreneur. Tell the people a little bit about Pure Heart.
Yeah, so Pure Heart, I founded it 10 years ago, just because I recognized the huge gap that existed within our community, specifically for children of incarcerated parents. A lot of people focus on recidivism reduction and making sure that individuals impacted by the justice system has resources, but no one really thought about the child. No one thinks about how their lives change. Every part, every aspect of their life literally changes when they have a parent incarcerated, whether it's social, emotional, financial, physical. It's so many barriers that they're up against as soon as their parent is separated from them. And no one was addressing that problem in Michigan. And someone that lived the experience firsthand and literally understood the challenges and the brokenness and the devastation and the mental devastation that a child experienced, I knew that I needed to find or provide a solution for it. So, Pure Heart, we have a holistic wraparound service model that focuses on 6 different areas. We do a lot just because so much of their lives change. So, the first thing is mental health, making
Right.
sure that they have access to emotional support, whether it's through therapy, one on one therapy, group therapy, holistic after school programming such as yoga, breathing techniques, right? Anything that we can do to make sure that young people emotionally can regulate themselves
Mhm.
is through that mental health component. And then the reality is, Tiffany, we expect our young people to thrive. We expect them
You
to do
do.
great in school. We expect them to be social. We expect them to be respectful. But no one is figuring out what's going on in their mental, right? And if they don't have the mental capacity before they even get in their school seat, what makes you think they're about to excel, right?
Right.
And a child carrying this weight alone it's almost impossible for them to thrive educationally. So we start at their mental first. And then our second component is academic enrichment. So making sure they have access to tutorial support, after school engagements, extracurricular activities, right? They do STEMming, they do entrepreneurship classes, workforce development, anything that we can do to make sure that academically they're successfully matriculating, right? Our third component is family reunification.
Mm-hmm.
One of our biggest components, we make sure that they stay connected to their incarcerated parent. So we fund their phone calls, their video visits, in-person visits, transportation, letter writing, JPay postage. We have a caregiver relief fund where we support
Oh my
small
God.
financial insecurities that a scholar's caregiver may be experiencing. Just
Mm-hmm.
because we understand that it truly takes a village, and majority of the families that we support are single household families because the
Right.
parent right is separated because of incarceration. So making sure they have access to that additional financial support. We do parenting classes. We go inside the facility and do parenting classes for our scholars' parents. The
So
fourth component.
you go inside the prison with.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Oh
Yep. So we'll
wow.
have a team member go inside the facility and teach parenting classes through our family unification program, because we just understand that you can parent from the inside, and children needs that. And some
Right.
parents, unfortunately, when they're incarcerated, they feel so helpless. So they feel like if they maintain their absence, they're doing a service to their child. But it's actually the total opposite. A child doesn't see the offense or anything, they see their parent and they need their parent, right?
Right.
So we created this program to make sure that parents incarcerated knew that you're still valued, you're still loved, and your voice can still influence your child in a positive way. So making sure they have that resource. The fourth component is mentorship. So we, connect our scholars with people within the community, and make sure they have that positive reinforcement. The fifth component is our recreational and arts. So this is one of my favorite components
I
because
love this.
and I know I'm going and I'm almost done, but we do a lot. Our fifth component is recreational arts, just making sure they have a sense of normalcy. So once a month, we take them on a field trip somewhere fun. And then our last component is our alumni group, which is our cycle breaker group. So once you graduate high school, that's a way
Mhm.
that we measure success. And they are inducted into our alumni group called the Cycle Breakers. So they
Mhm.
still have access to mental health support, workforce development. We give all of our high schoolers scholarships. We help them prepare for graduation and prom. We do college prep. Anything that we can do to make sure that their transition into young adulthood is supported and seen through, and make sure that they keep that cycle from being broken. So that is what we do. We do a lot.
That's yeah, you named 7 components, didn't you?
Yeah. Hmm.
Wow, 7 is
Hmm.
completion.
Hmm.
That is powerful. So when the kids come in, they get the news that their father
Hmm.
is gonna get 25 years. When the child enters your program, do
Hmm.
they come off frustrated, upset, and do they have an attitude? Because
Hmm.
sometimes, especially with this new generation, sometimes they don't wanna talk, they don't wanna open
Yeah.
up, they just wanna be on their phone.
Yeah.
How do you handle
Um,
that? Yeah.
so every family and household is different,
Okay.
right? Some families come and enroll in Pure Heart, and the scholar isn't even aware that their parent is incarcerated. So we have to help navigate them through that to even
Oh,
have the conversation. Some come in, they're a little apprehensive because, again, this is something new, and they're now in an environment surrounded by all of these people that knows that they have a parent incarcerated. So the first goal is to make sure that they feel safe in this space, right? So we help navigate them to make sure that they are okay. And then some come with open arms, right?
uh-huh.
I think, and we have never experienced within our 10 years, I will say, we have never experienced a scholar be enrolled in the program and they give us attitude or anything. Like, it is something about being able to look a child in their face and not
Mhm.
say, we want to support you because we see that there's a need. No, we want to support you because we understand what you're going through. We understand it so much that the leader, both of her parents were incarcerated. And if she can do it, you can do it too. And it's this emotional connection amongst a child that has a parent incarcerated with another child experiencing that, or an adult that has experienced that. It's almost as like we see each other automatically and
Mhm.
we get it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
'Cause that's the first thing people look at is like, before they know your background, like, "How is she gonna know what I'm going through? She don't got
Right?
parents incarcerated." And
Right?
then when you sit down with them, you're like, "No, actually, both of my parents were
Mhm.
incarcerated, so
Mhm.
I can relate." And then you lose your father at a young age, so that's
Mhm.
like trauma on this side that both parents
Mhm.
is incarcerated. Then you got trauma on the other side that you lost your father.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then you gotta figure out
Absolutely.
who you are as a young girl, and then plus, like you said, the household that you were living in, was it relative that you were living in, or was it like a
Yeah,
home?
so I
Okay,
lived no, I never entered the foster care system, thank
okay,
God,
okay,
but I was kinda bouncing around. So I lived with family, I lived with friends,
okay.
I kinda bounced around.
Yeah,
Mm,
so you can relate to even that perspective from a
mhm,
child who is bouncing around from household to household.
mhm,
So, oh my god, and I think people, especially young people, they need to know, like, I always say, "People, you've been through the trenches."
mhm, mhm.
And so the young people looking at you like, "Wait a minute, maybe I should listen to her."
Yep, absolutely,
And
absolutely.
then the mental health, um, that is so important. Does the parent and the child do, like, a session together?
Yes, so
Oh,
we haven't been able to um, figure out exactly how to do the therapy sessions with the incarcerated parent just yet. It's
okay.
just a lot of logistical things that we have
Right.
to map out within the correctional facilities. But we do offer family reunification therapy with the caregiver and the scholars. So that has taken place yet. We just haven't figured out a way just yet to do the therapy sessions with them together. But we do restorative practices once they're released together.
Wow. I'm just so blown away right now because this is like, Um, I live in California, and I don't know if they have this here, but Imma do some
Mhm,
research. I don't know, it's just
mhm,
what you're doing is like, the children are forgotten, and there's so many mothers that are in the group that I have, and they have grandchildren, especially there's sometimes where the mother can't see the grandchildren
mm,
because the girlfriend is keeping the grandchildren hostage.
mhm.
Does that go on too sometimes? You see that too sometimes?
We see so much
Uh-huh.
where it and it's so unfortunate because sometimes I feel like adults we can be so selfish because we think we know what's best you know for these young people, and we lose sight of hearing them. So we see it all the time. We see you know moms or dads that don't even want their children to visit their parent incarcerated, or we see
Yes.
the child having this resentment towards the parent based on what they were told about the parent, instead of being able to develop their own relationship, right? So I think, yes, to answer your question, we have seen it, we have experienced it. I always try to keep the scholar centered at all conversations.
Mhm.
And when you do that, it's almost impossible for either party to kind of give you pushback. Because I say, hey, if our goal is to make sure that the scholar life is great, the scholar is thriving, emotionally, that scholar is okay, I think two adults and all parties involved should be able to do what's necessary for the child. And when you come from it from that approach, if they genuinely care,
Mhm.
they'll do it, and they'll make sure that they show up for that child.
Yeah, what you're doing is just phenomenal, and I also saw also on your IG page that, how you even have, like, the Detroit is it Detroit Lions or
Mhm,
NBA? They
mhm,
help sponsor
mhm,
your nonprofit organization. Like,
mhm.
that's amazing. So what goes on with that program? Is that, like, where they got the school is that where they get the visits? Is that where that comes from, where they get to go?
Yeah, so the Detroit Lions, they have an initiative, well, the NFL Foundation, they have an initiative called Inspire Change.
Okay,
And Aspire Change is basically an initiative that is founded and created by the football players. So
okay,
every team has an Inspire Change initiative.
okay,
And the players are who select the organizations that they donate to, who they work with. And for 3 years, the Detroit Lions selected Pure Heart. So within those 3 years, they probably made close to a $500,000 contribution just to our programmatic support. They funded our entire mental health support. So making sure the scholars had access to that mental health. Um, they funded a lot of our summer programming and our after school programming as well. And then they
Mhm.
also invested in our staff operations too, just understanding that it takes
It
for
takes
a team to
yeah,
do this work. So we were
yes.
very, very blessed to be in partnership with the Detroit Lions. They selected us for My Cause, My Cleat matching
Mhm,
program. So we basically had a month to raise $100,000, and if we were
mhm,
successful, the Lions would match it dollar for dollar. We
mhm.
exceeded that goal, so they matched it, right? So the
Yes,
Detroit
look at
Lions would,
God.
right?
Yes.
Yes, and then the Detroit Pistons, they invested in the organization as well, and they purchased our van, our transportation to take our scholars to visit their incarcerated parent.
I love this. If
Hmm.
that's not God, I don't girl,
Right,
that's the favor of
right,
God on your life.
right. Because listen, it's not always easy.
Right, I know behind people think it's easy when you post a picture, but behind the scenes, it be a
Hmm.
whole situation beyond that's girl, you blessed and highly favored.
Thank you so
That
much.
is favored, for
Thank
real
you so
favor.
much. Thank you so much.
And I wanna hear, like, a success story of a child in a program where they
Hmm.
started off a little rough, like, they were,
Hmm.
like, held back, but in
Hmm.
the end, you saw a whole different child when they got to the
Oh my
program.
goodness, it's so many that I could share
Is
about.
there one that you just it just sticks out?
Yes, it is definitely, his name is Jeremy. I won't disclose his last name, but
Okay,
I met Jeremy when he was about 11 years old. He's
o
21 now.
okay.
And when I met him, both of his parents, no, just his father was incarcerated. And
Okay.
within a year, his mom went to prison as well. So both of his
Mm,
parents were incarcerated. And Jeremy, he was very hurt. He, lacked both of his parents and was longing for it and understood the feelings that he was feeling. So when I first met him, he was real angry, right? Standoffish, didn't really want to communicate. But I met him in a different setting. I didn't meet him as soon as he enrolled in Pure Heart because
okay.
I had just started the organization. Like when I met Jeremy, Pure Heart had a small office and a community center and a laptop and me in my bank account, which it wasn't a lot in there.
Yes,
Um,
write the vision and make it plain, girl,
right.
yes.
So I was still in that preliminary, okay, God, what do you want me to do with this thing? And then I meet Jeremy at another after school program. But while I was getting to know him and his mom, I found out his father was incarcerated. So I said, well, I'm actually starting a nonprofit specifically for children with incarcerated parents, enroll them in Pure Heart. And she said, well, what do you do? We don't do nothing right now. We just started. But let me tell you about who I am. Let me tell you my background. And when I shared my story with both of them, he just started coming to the small office. When he got out of school, she dropped him off and I helped him with his homework. We talked. I gave him a journal and we journaled. And that's literally the foundation of Pure Heart starting. And I used to ask him questions and it would really help me develop, what do we need to do? But moving along, after his mom was sentenced to, I think she did 2 years in prison, I knew I had to be very intentional with making sure that Jeremy felt supported because I just saw so much pain and adversity. He was safe. He was with his godmother. He
Okay.
was very, very loved. So he was super blessed to have her. Um, but it was still this disconnect, right? Because when you're in a situation and you feel like no one understands, that's very lonely. And
Mhm.
although I didn't have much to offer him, I just gave him what we had. And
Okay.
when Pure Heart began to develop, it was like he had found his space. He had found this space that he can take so much room of it because I was here when Pure Heart first started. So when other scholars enrolled, he had this leadership about himself, and I just saw him thrive and evolve and do great in school. I watched him graduate high school. I saw him go to college. I started him start his own business. His mom came home. We literally all are taking senior pictures together, rejoicing that she's home. He's graduating. And now Jeremy is off living his best life. He's thriving. His father's home, his mom's home. Um, he
I
went to,
love that
you
because
know,
they normally what's I don't know the actual statistics when they
mhm.
say when the parents go to prison. I don't
No.
know.
So Black and brown young people are 7 times more likely to enter the criminal justice system before completing high school.
Okay.
Yeah. So Jeremy definitely broke that cycle, right? Because he did not enter the criminal justice system at all. And in fact, 0% of the young people that we have supported has entered the criminal justice system. 100% of them have that has gone to high school has actually graduated high school, and 100% of them has matriculated academically, leaving no scholar behind. So when you place
Wow.
these resources in front of families that needs the support, the cycle can be broken. But the problem is so many families don't have access to support, and
Mhm.
they fall through the cracks of small things, right?
Okay.
I went to a prison once, and because I often speak in prisons and tell my story. I wrote a book, right? So all of the things, and I talk about the work that we do. And one young man stood up. He said, "I wish it was a pure heart when I was around, or my when it was my age, when I was younger." He said, "I'm 18 now." And then a man stood up that was very, very much older than him, and he said, "Yeah, I wish you had a program too, because that guy, that young man, that's my son." And we reconnected in prison.
Wait. So they reconnected in prison together, father and son?
Mhm. Mhm.
Oh,
Right? Right?
yeah.
But it started off something as small as I stole a candy bar because I was hungry. Or I tried to steal some shoes because I was a star basketball player. Right?
Mhm.
And life happened. But had
Right.
he, had a positive support system, or someone to tell him to do the right thing and not encourage him to do the wrong thing, he probably wouldn't have reconnected with his father in prison. And that's why Pure Heart exists, to be that positive reinforcer in these youth lives, letting them know if you do the right thing,
Mhm.
good will happen. Right. So,
Right.
yeah.
Man, so the mothers of the children that are part of the program, I wanna know about them. How are
Mhm.
th I know this has to be a blessing for the mamas because sometimes we
Mhm.
think like, "Oh, if the daddy in prison, then the son or daughter gonna go to prison."
Mhm.
So it's like it's all not almost, I feel like you are saving their children from
Mhm.
going down another, a bad road.
Mhm. And we have so many different moms, right?
Right.
And this population is so unique because a lot of people, when you hear incarceration, you automatically want to intersect it with poverty or
Mhm.
the lack of, and that's not the case. This is a population that can impact people that's well off, so we have moms that don't necessarily need any support, but they know their children needs an emotional safe haven, or to be around other young people that are experiencing the same equal life challenge, right?
Right.
Then we have moms who are doing it all by themselves, and life is extremely difficult because
Mhm.
they're placed with so many challenges in front of them: financial hardships, housing support, keeping employment consistently because they have to be the babysitter, the Uber driver, every all at once, and trying to do it alone is almost impossible. So I will say that we have created a village for one another. We're car sharing, we're ride sharing, supporting each other in any capacity that we can, because now they can look to someone and feel completely seen. Because, amongst your friends or your family, if they're not experiencing it, you still feel alone in that. So to answer your questions, the moms, they're very, very close knit.
Mhm.
They appreciate the support, and
I love that community.
yeah, it's
I love
that
that's a community.
it's a community.
Yeah,
Yep.
it really is, and yeah, because we need each other.
Mhm.
Like, and it's almost a similar what I started is the mothers, with incarcerated kids. There
Mhm.
is nothing out there for us mothers. It's always about the inmate, and it's so much deeper than just the inmate because it's the
Mhm.
mom, it's the grandparents, and
Mhm.
then you got the children. It's just so much.
Mhm.
And the burden is really heavy because you gotta get up and go to work and act like everything is okay, put
Mhm.
your lip gloss on,
Mhm.
and see Lisa at the water fountain. "Hey, Lisa, how you doing?" But really, you just got the news that your child got 25 years to
Yeah.
life, and then you're a grandma, now you gotta deal with the grandkids,
Yep.
and then you gotta think about how to pay your bills. That's
Yep.
a lot.
Mhm.
So for the mothers that are listening to you right now, who are in pain right now, I mean, they're
Mhm.
struggling right now over their child that's incarcerated, and it's affecting their grandchildren. What advice would you give them, or what will you say to them to get them out of this place of maybe some of them are in depression or some of them are stuck?
Mhm. Um, what would I say? The first thing that came to my mind was, life sometimes has a way of putting us in this prison, and we're not even behind bars, right? So how do we challenge ourselves to recognize the freedom that we do have? You know,
Right.
like people that's incarcerated literally have the bars in front of them.
Mhm.
If I can depict what I'm trying to articulate. But when you're mentally in prison, or if you place yourself in this depression, or we'll just call it the prison, we have the capacity to move around.
Right.
We're not restricted like a person that's incarcerated. And life will try to rob you of your freedom. So I would just encourage any mom or anyone that's listening tonight to understand that God gave you power, literally. He gave you the ability to speak life, He gave you the ability to speak death. And you have to make a decision to want to live,
Mhm.
even if it's just for yourself. Like life will hand us different circumstances that we did not ask for.
Not.
And unfortunately, sometimes we have to resume that responsibility, although it's really not ours to carry. But you have to find strength from within to want
Say
to
it.
live, and once you make up in your mind that you want to live, you'll start to see your life change. You'll see strength coming back. Because if you say, I'm just gonna lay here and die, you can't get out of bed. Then you think life is only happening to
Right.
you instead of happening for you. Right. So I just would say, um, you have to make a decision. I wish it was something that I can say that was so profound that I can snap my finger and make life better for you. But I can't do that because I'm not God. I am someone that has experienced so much pain and trauma and things that I know I didn't deserve to go through. But at some point, I accepted it and I decided to live. And when I decided to live, even though things aren't
Mhm.
perfect now,
Right.
right? It's reasons right now that I
Right.
can choose to want to die, but I
True.
am
Yes.
still making decision to live. And yeah, that's what I would say.
You did say something profound. You said the word a decision,
Mhm.
and you do have to make that decision to
Mhm.
get up every day, and you made the decision to get up in the midst of both parents incarcerated, lost your father, you went through
Mhm.
what you went through your childhood. You made a decision, and then God sent you an angel. Is it what was her name? Dorothy?
Doria.
Doria?
Mhm.
God sent you her for a reason.
Literally,
I don't care what
literally.
nobody tell that was an angel, and she's
Mhm.
still a part of your life.
Mhm.
God knew that's what I'm saying. I can go on and on about the devil mean it for your bad,
Listen,
but God will make it for your good, like the good, the it all it and what's the scripture?
Romans 8 and 28. That's my
All things,
favorite scripture.
yes, because
All
it
things works out.
it really in the long run, it
Mhm.
really do work out. We be in our
Mhm.
emotions, we be in our feelings, but you said you decided,
Mhm.
and then you said, "I'm gonna live."
Mhm.
That is to me, that's profound. I got
Mhm.
goosebumps because no matter what you're going through, it could be maybe your kids are not in prison, maybe you
Mhm.
lost your job. You still gotta
Yeah.
make a decision to get through it to make it to the other side.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
many people get stuck of my son is in prison. And like you said before, yeah, they're behind the bars. They're in that 8 by 10, but we're free.
We're free. Hmm.
You could have decided, Sherelle, for real, to
Hmm.
stay in, like, just stay at your job, and you had a good job, and I know about Detroit back in the day with those cars. You
Hmm.
made good money back in the day. I'm gonna be honest. I know
Hmm.
that was good money back then
Hmm.
because Detroit was the city of the Cadillacs.
Hmm. Hmm.
So anybody that worked for those dealerships, y'all made really good money back in the
We
day.
did.
And you
We did.
decided to say goodbye, and I know in
Mhm.
the midst of you doing with Pure Hearts, I know you had some bumps in the roads where you didn't know how you was gonna make ends meet.
Oh, well, listen, okay? Accounts negative. Both
Right.
of them, personal business. But you got these scholars coming looking to you. What we gonna do? We go keep fighting. God gonna make a way. We go stay the course.
I
We go
want you to talk to
choose
that
to
mama
live.
that has a goal or a dream right now, or God gave her a mission and
Mhm.
she's scared, or she's just like, I feel stuck because my son is in prison. I don't know what to do. Talk to that mama that God gave them something, even if it's something, it doesn't have to be like big or major. Like if
Mhm.
God told you to bake cookies for a nursing
Mhm.
home, but you stop
Mhm.
baking cookies. Speak to that mama that's listening right now.
I would say you gotta fight, mama. You gotta you have a responsibility first to God, and that's to live out your purpose. Before motherhood, you have something that God has given you. And I truly believe when we honor the things of God, God honors us. It is impossible for God not to bless you or to be pleased by you when you're obedient to Him. Like, you know how you get your hair done, you get all beautified,
Mhm,
and you had a sense of purpose. You feel
mhm,
seen, you feel good, you just overwhelmed,
mhm.
with happiness and joy. Like that's how God is. When we listen to Him, when we obedient to Him, if He say bake cookies and we actually bake them, He get excited. How can I bless her now? Like
Right.
what does she need? How do I make sure that even in the midst of turmoil, she still feel my grace? She still have this undeniable joy. And that's what comes when you obedient to God and the things that He wants you to do. And I'm only 34 years old, so I still have, Lord willing, a lot of more life to live. But I can honestly tell you it has nothing I have done through the obedience of God that He didn't honor and that He didn't bless. So I would tell you to go after your dreams. Like every day you wake up and you still breathe, and that's an indication that you still have a purpose.
Mhm.
And I'm going to say something that might not be the thing that you want to hear, as a mom or as a father or someone with an incarcerated loved one. That child being in prison, or your child, that's not your only purpose in life.
Oh, say it.
It's
Say
still
that one
more
more time.
purpose, right?
Yes.
Like it is more purpose beyond your children. It's more purpose beyond the prison, right? He has still so much for you. And
Mhm.
if he didn't, you wouldn't be here. So as long as you have a pulse, you have purpose. So I just want to encourage you to do whatever it is that God is telling you to do, and don't give up on yourself. And I know that your children that may be incarcerated wouldn't want you to give up on yourself. They wouldn't want you to forget about you. Yeah.
So true. Oh my God, Sherelle, thank you for this. This
Um,
was good. Like,
I hope I ain't talking too much, but you
no,
bring it
this was good because it's like, oh my God, like
out.
this is, you're just blessing me on what God told me I need to do in my own
Mhm.
personal life. And I've
Mhm.
been sitting on it. And then you just the part is like you're blessing so many children that are
Mhm.
invisible, that are unseen, and they got to get up and go to high school.
Mhm.
And for example, if they're like, maybe they play on the football team, or she's a cheerleader and she's in the stand, she's not going to see her parents in the stand like she's going to see her classmate.
Yep.
Both parents are in the stand cheering them on. But here goes Pure Heart,
Yep.
that maybe somebody in the Pure Heart community is gonna
So pull
go and
up.
support
Mhm.
her, even though it's
Mhm.
not her mom and dad. But
Mhm.
she gonna see they're gonna miss Sherelle in the audience. There she go.
Yep.
That makes an impact,
Yep.
and that does
Absolutely.
a lot for a child.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I love that you doing this, and I love that I love first of all, you young, child. You got I'm a little nervous now, child. You 34. What God gonna do for you now? He about to blow your mind.
Okay.
Girl, you about to see Ephesians 3 and 20.
Listen, listen,
And this is just
listen.
wow. And this you have made so many major accomplishments within those 10 years
Hmm.
that some nonprofits, can we just be honest,
Hmm.
that don't get to where you at?
Absolutely.
Like you
No,
dealing with
absolutely.
the NFL, that's major.
Hmm. It is. I'm so grateful for that because I recognize that it's literally no one but God. To be still so young as an organization and to have people with these major platforms and this great credibility back us and believe in the mission and the work that we do. Not all nonprofits get that.
I I know that. I
Hmm.
know that. I've been a part of some nonprofits and you are thriving. Not you're
Hmm.
not surviving, you're thriving and you're making a difference with these children. And the
Hmm.
success stories are just powerful.
Hmm.
And
Thank
you're
you.
probably I don't know, I'm just going to guess throw it out there. You're probably even changing the mother's lives on how they look at themselves as being a mother.
I never even thought about that, but probably
You
because
are.
listen,
Yeah.
our scholars be like, If ain't nobody go do it,
Miss Sherelle going to make it happen.
Miss Sherelle go do it, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
You're
Hmm.
probably helping the mom at home like, "Okay, so she went through this.
Hmm.
She started this program. Maybe I can go out and be a nail technician.
Hmm.
Or
Hmm.
maybe I can't go back to school because she went through all of this, so maybe I can do this." So you probably making an impact on the mamas,
Hmm. I
and
never
that's
thought about
major
that. Yeah, absolutely.
because you're example of how you overcame, and I think
Hmm.
that's what the world needs to see is like how you struggled, but you still kept fighting.
Hmm. 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 And I just want to shout out to the Pure Heart moms because the Pure Heart moms are so dedicated to their children.
Mhm.
They're so dedicated to doing whatever they have to do for their child to be okay. Like I watch these women work day and night, pick up, drop off, Uber, anything that they can do to make sure that their child has space to be a child. And even if it's so hard on them, they have stuck beside the organization literally when we had the small door office to our own space and all of the ups and downs that the organization have gone through. The moms have advocated for the organization to make sure that we keep our doors open, to make sure that the scholars have things that they need. So shout out to them, because caregivers are often, they're just the ones that you got to keep the child and you don't have a choice, but they're
Right.
unseen too because
Right.
they pick up all that slack as well. So
That's true.
yeah.
Thank you. I love this interview that I had with you. And I know, thank you for coming out and taking the time to share. But we got to know about resources, where to find Pure Heart, and also for those that want to donate to Pure Heart as well. Like, and then if moms want to reach out to you, how can they reach out to you? A social media platform, please go ahead and share.
Yes, and I am sorry if you hear my little one. She's getting a little fussy in the background.
It's okay.
But you can follow Pure Heart Foundation on all social media platforms at Pure Heart Cares. We're on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, and Facebook.
Mhm.
Our website is www.pureheartfoundation.org. I don't know, Tiffany, if I can send you my direct information if any
Yeah.
mom wants to reach out to me.
Send it
I'm
to me and I'll put it in the description of the
okay.
YouTube channel. I'll put the
Okay.
description and on the Apple podcast. I'll put it on
Okay.
the description there so people yeah, because there's people that couldn't make the live, but they
Okay.
want to listen to the pre-recording. And they asked me, I had 3 people inbox me, like, how do I get in contact with her? How do I get in
Okay.
contact with her? And some of these moms are in Michigan.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay.
So yeah,
Awesome.
some of the moms are in Michigan. I don't know for moms that are different state. I don't know if you could. I don't if you can suggest. I don't know. Maybe offline we can talk about this
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
different states for moms that have a similar organization in different states like this
Hmm.
because Pure Heart's only in the state of Michigan, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
as of now.
As of
But the
now.
goal is to be replicated throughout this country.
Uh,
So, yes, that is the goal.
oh my. Girl, I'm a firm believer in fasting and praying. So if you need me to
Mhm.
go on a fast with you, say, Tiffany, we need to
Yes.
get up at 5 a.m. and pray and lay out before the Lord. Hey, I am your sister in Christ that will lay out before the Lord with you at 5 a.m. and do a whole prayer and talk to Jesus and all of them. So let me know. I've been doing that with a couple moms, getting up at 5 a.m., praying with them for court cases and all types of stuff. I believe in the power of prayer. And when two or three come together, God is in the midst.
He's
So
in the
let me
midst.
know.
He's in the midst.
If you go on a
Well,
fast, let me know.
lastly, we are, and I'll definitely, because I need to fast like tomorrow, so we'll talk. But lastly, we are actually doing a capital campaign right now.
Okay.
We just launched a campaign in April called the Call of Impact. So the Call of Impact was God gave me this vision during COVID, and I was similar to a lot of people afraid because I'm like, Lord, this could be huge. You want me to do this? But it was designed to just spread awareness about the challenges that families encounter when trying to stay connected to loved ones incarcerated. So
Mhm.
just, addressing the financial burden that it is and, visitation specifically for our young people. So we are on a quest to raise $1 million for our family reunification component to make sure that scholars continue to have access for visitations, phone call costs, anything that they need to strengthen their bond with their parent that's incarcerated. And we actually designed a phone booth simulation where people can step inside of a phone booth and have a 1 minute call as if they're the incarcerated parent to their child to give people the emotional glimpse of what our families face every day.
Right.
So every dollar is equivalent to a minute that a child can speak to their incarcerated parent. So that is our fundraising strategy. If you would like to donate to the Call of Impact, you can do that on our website or through our social media platforms as well too.
I love that. I just post a link of the website into the
Okay.
chat group.
Okay.
You have a lot of people saying thank you. You're so inspirational.
Thank you so
There's purpose
much.
in this, and a lot of people said they needed this, and a lot of people are
Mm,
saying thank you so much.
so
You got a lot of thank you so much from a lot of mothers saying they really truly needed to hear this from you.
I'm
'Cause
too
they
emotional.
hear it from me, but to hear it from someone else that's in the same struggle, and you're
Mhm,
just not out here like, "Yeah, you actually know and can relate to every mom." Like, my parents were in prison, so I get it.
mhm,
I may not like you said, my child may not be in prison, but my
mhm,
parents were in prison. So
mhm,
you know how it is going to the prisons.
And as a new mom, I can say now that child love, how much
Mhm,
you love your child.
mhm,
So I know it's hard. I know it's very difficult to be separated from your child. I know that feeling as a parent.
mhm,
Um, Obviously, my baby she's only 18 months, right? But I can't imagine
mhm.
not being able to have my child and my child being away is difficult. So I don't understand that, but I know as a parent, I do anything for my child. So I
Mhm.
already know y'all feel the exact same way.
Absolutely. Oh my God, Sherelle, thank you for this. I truly, you guys, I will in the description, you guys, I will put more information about where you can find her if you need to contact her for resources as well. If you're in the state of Michigan, she's there for you guys.
Yes.
Again, you guys, Sherelle, you stay on with me before
Okay.
I'm going to end it. But everybody else, thank you so much for this live. Again, you guys, share this. If you have a friend that's struggling right now, that has a son or a daughter that's incarcerated, you have grandchildren, and this episode is for my mamas that got grandchildren, and maybe there's a fight between the grandchildren, or
Mhm.
you have a situation that you can relate to everything that Sherelle's saying, please share, like, and just and subscribe to the channel. Again, you guys, it's your girl Tiffany Nicole. I'm out.